Marcus Daniel's stomach groaned as he scraped the last of the chicken stew into a single bowl, the final portion of food in the house. His son, 8-year-old Caleb, sat silently at their worn-out kitchen table, pretending not to notice. Marcus worked double shifts at a warehouse, but lately the hours were cut, and the fridge was more empty than full. Still, he carried the weight of his little boy's world on his shoulders with stubborn pride. Just as he slid the warm bowl toward Caleb, a soft but shaky voice echoed from outside their apartment door. "Please, is anyone home? I just need something to eat." Marcus froze. Caleb looked up. The voice sounded frail, scared. Marcus opened the door to find a young woman, maybe mid-20s, dirty, trembling, hugging her arms for warmth. Something about her eyes looked both haunted and familiar, though he didn't know why. "Sir, I haven't eaten in 2 days," she whispered. Marcus felt a stab in his chest. He looked at the bowl, his son, then back at the woman. Caleb surprised him. "Dad, we can share." But Marcus didn't share. He handed her the entire bowl. Her hands shook as she accepted it. "Why would you give this to me? You don't even know me." Marcus smiled weakly. "Because someone out there would do the same for my son, if he ever needed it." Her eyes filled with tears. She tried to speak, but instead turned away, almost running down the hallway. Caleb tugged his father's sleeve. "Dad, are we going to be okay?" Marcus knelt beside him and kissed the top of his head. "We'll always be okay, as long as we take care of others." But that night, as Caleb slept hungry and Marcus's stomach ached with emptiness, neither knew that the stranger would return. The next evening, just as Marcus was about to leave for a night shift that barely paid enough for bus fare, a firm knock rattled the door. Not timid, not weak, sharp. He hesitated, opening it cautiously. The same woman stood there, but she looked completely different. Her hair was combed, her clothes were clean, her eyes clearer, and behind her stood a black SUV with tinted windows and a driver in a suit. "Mr. Daniels," she said softly, "I need to speak with you." Caleb peeked from behind Marcus, confused. "I owe you the truth," she continued. She introduced herself. Ariana Hughes, a philanthropist and tech CEO's daughter who had disappeared from public view months earlier. Her father was one of the wealthiest men in the city. "I wasn't homeless," she confessed. "Not in the way you think. I escaped a treatment facility. I'd been struggling with depression, anxiety, and I wanted to know what people were really like when they had nothing to gain." Marcus listened, stunned. "You were the only one who gave me something real. Your only meal." Marcus looked embarrassed. "I didn't do it for recognition. I just saw someone hurting." Ariana smiled sadly. "Exactly. And that's why I'm here." She stepped aside, and the driver opened a sleek silver case. Inside was a stack of documents, a business card, and a sealed envelope. "Mr. Daniels," she said, "I want to help you, and not in a small way." Marcus's heart raced. But help wasn't always a blessing, and Marcus had no idea how one good deed would pull him into a storm of decisions, dilemmas, and truths he wasn't ready to face. Her father ran one of the largest philanthropy-funded community housing programs in the state. When she told him what Marcus had done, the man who had given everything he had to someone he didn't know, her father became obsessed with meeting him. "He sent me to find you," she said. "He wants to feature you, hire you, and invest in your community. but not for publicity. He genuinely wants to help someone who deserves it. Inside the envelope was a job offer paying triple Marcus's current salary, a scholarship for Caleb, a relocation to a safer neighborhood, a monthly stipend for a year, and an opportunity to work directly with their charity program. Marcus felt dizzy. He wasn't used to miracles. He was used to fighting, clawing, surviving. But why me? He whispered. Ariana stepped forward. Because kindness given in poverty is the purest form of humanity. Caleb, wide-eyed, tugged his father's shirt. Dad, can we take it? Marcus hesitated. Life had taught him that too good to be true offers came with hidden traps. But then Ariana said something that broke him. I know what it feels like to think no one sees you. But I saw you that night. Your goodness, your sacrifice. And we want to bring the world's light to people like you. His eyes filled with tears. For the first time in years, he felt seen. He accepted the offer. But he had no idea that accepting would reopen wounds he locked away for so long. Within weeks, Marcus's life began transforming. He moved into a new apartment. He got the new job. Caleb started at a better school. Food was no longer a luxury. Hope wasn't either. But something about Ariana still troubled him. She visited often, spending time with Caleb like a big sister. She asked Marcus about his late wife, about raising a child alone, about struggle. One day, Caleb asked her, Miss Ariana, why were you really out there alone? Ariana froze, and then she told the truth. She hadn't just been escaping depression. She'd been escaping people who only loved her for her wealth. Fake friends, investors pretending to care, even family members who used her father's money as leverage. I wandered the streets, hoping someone, just one person, would treat me like a human instead of a wallet, she said. And the only person who did was your dad. Marcus looked at her, finally understanding the depth of her pain. You don't owe me anything, he whispered. She smiled through tears. You saved me. But her confession had consequences. Her sudden reappearance in the public eye caught media attention. Paparazzi swarmed her father's home. Reporters dug into Marcus's background. Some accused him of manipulating her story. Some called him a fraud. The internet turned him into a spectacle, but Ariana refused to let him drown. You gave me your last meal, she said. Now let me fight for you. And fight she did. Months later, on a stage in front of cameras, reporters, and community leaders, Ariana called Marcus and Caleb to join her. She announced the Daniels Foundation for Second Chances, named not after herself, but after the man who reminded her what humanity looked like. Marcus was speechless. Caleb cried into his jacket. And then, one more knock echoed through their lives. A government representative approached the stage with a plaque. For your selfless act and continued service to the community, he said, we honor you both. Ariana whispered to Marcus, your single act of kindness changed more than my life. It changed the future of every person this foundation will help. As the crowd applauded, Marcus knelt beside Caleb. Son, remember this forever. Even when you have nothing, you always have something to give. And what you give can change the world. The story of a single meal transformed into a movement, and all because one hungry father chose compassion over comfort.
The night felt endless. The black SUV outside didn't move. Its engine hummed like a warning. Ariana stayed curled on the couch, one knee drawn to her chest, fingers tapping nervously against her sleeve. Marcus sat in the armchair beside her, wide awake, listening for every sound in the hallway. Caleb slept in his room, unaware of the danger looming beyond the walls. Every time the floor creaked or a car drove by, Ariana's body jolted like she expected the door to crash open. Marcus watched her. "You're safe here," he whispered. She nodded but didn't look convinced. Dawn crept through the blinds, soft orange light washing over her pale, exhausted face. Sometime around 7 a.m., the SUV finally drove off. Ariana exhaled shakily. "They'll be back." "I know," Marcus said, "but we'll be ready." She glanced at him, gratitude mixing with guilt. "You didn't sign up for this." "I signed up for whatever comes when someone I care about is in trouble." Ariana looked away quickly, eyes glistening. Before Marcus could say more, they both froze. Same rhythm, but not the same energy. Not threatening. Firm, but familiar. Marcus moved slowly to the door, checking the peephole. His eyes widened. "It's a woman," he murmured. "Older. Looks like you." Ariana jumped up, heart pounding. "What? Let me see." She pressed her eye to the peephole and gasped. "No, it can't be. Who is it?" Ariana stepped back, trembling. "My aunt," she whispered. "My father's estranged sister. She hasn't spoken to the family in 10 years. Marcus blinked. Why would she be here? The door knocked again, more urgently. "Open up, Marcus," the woman's muffled voice said. "Ariana, I know you're in there. We need to talk. Now." Ariana shook. "How does she even know where you live?" "Only one way to find out," Marcus said, unlocking the door. He opened it slowly. Standing in the hallway was a tall woman in her 60s, with streaks of silver in her dark hair, sharp eyes full of intelligence and fire, and a satchel slung over her shoulder like she came ready for war. "Aunt Naomi," Ariana whispered. The woman stepped inside without waiting for permission. "Lock the door." Marcus locked it immediately. Naomi looked around the apartment, assessing it in 2 seconds. Then her gaze fell on Ariana. "You're in danger," she said evenly, "and so is he." She nodded to Marcus and the boy. Marcus instinctively moved in front of Ariana as if shielding her. Naomi raised an eyebrow. "Good. Protective. You'll need that." Ariana stepped forward, voice trembling. "How did you find me?" "Because unlike my brother," Naomi said with a cold smile, "I don't underestimate women who think for themselves. And because—" She turned to Marcus. "The moment you helped her, kid, they flagged your name in the system." Marcus stiffened. "What system?" "The Hughes Internal Surveillance Network," she said flatly. "Every employee, every contact, every phone call. They monitor everything. And when Ariana refused to sign the merger papers, they dug deeper." Ariana sank onto the couch. "So I led them straight to Marcus." "You didn't lead them," Naomi corrected. "They followed. And now they're desperate. The merger falls apart without your signature. That's why they tried to retrieve you last night." Marcus clenched his fists. "Retrieve? She's not property." Naomi smirked. "Try telling her father that." Ariana buried her face in her hands. "What do they want?" Naomi opened her satchel and pulled out a thick folder. She dropped it on the coffee table. Documents spilled out, contracts, internal emails, asset transfer plans. Marcus skimmed the top page and froze. It showed a breakdown of the restructuring plan. Community centers, closed after-school programs, defunded single-parent assistance, terminated low-income grants, removed. Ariana's breath hitched as she flipped through the sheets. Everything the Hughes Initiative claimed to stand for, everything that had given Marcus and Caleb a lifeline, would be destroyed. Naomi leaned in. This isn't just corruption, it's sabotage. They want to liquidate the humanitarian division to funnel money into private investments. Ariana looked at her aunt, voice breaking. Why are you helping us? Naomi hesitated, then softened. Because you're the only good thing left in that family, she said quietly. And because I've seen enough of your father's greed ruin lives. She turned to Marcus. And you're the turning point. Marcus frowned. Me? I'm just a single dad trying to survive. Naomi shook her head. You're proof the initiative works. You're the kind of success story the board hates, because you can't be bought or manipulated. You helped Ariana without knowing who she was, without expecting anything. Ariana whispered, That's why I trust him. Naomi nodded, and that's why they fear him. Marcus felt the weight of her words. Fear him? Why would a billion-dollar board fear a father who worked entry-level? Naomi answered, without him asking. Because men like you remind people the Hughes initiative wasn't built on greed. It was built on compassion, and compassion can't be controlled. Ariana looked at Marcus, eyes full of emotion she could no longer hide. So what do we do? Marcus asked. Naomi pulled out a USB drive. You expose them. Ariana recoiled. Expose? Aunt Naomi, that could start a war inside the company. Yes, Naomi said. A war they can't win. The public will destroy them the moment they see the truth. Marcus swallowed. And us? What happens to us? Naomi's gaze tightened. They'll retaliate. Hard. Ariana grabbed Marcus's hand. He has a child. This isn't his fight. Naomi stared at them. Really stared. Then sighed. It already is. Marcus squeezed Ariana's hand. We're not running, he said. Not this time. Ariana looked at him with something like awe. Naomi nodded approvingly. Good. Because I didn't come here to scare you. I came here to show you the way out. She opened her satchel again, pulling out another envelope. This, she said, handing it to Marcus, is the board's biggest secret. And once it goes public, they'll have no leverage left. Marcus looked inside. His eyes widened. It wasn't numbers. It wasn't contracts. It wasn't assets. It was a confession. A written, signed confession from Ariana's father, dated years earlier, admitting to illegal financial manipulation, including the misuse of charity funds for private gain. Marcus stared. This could destroy him. It will, Naomi said, which is why we must use it carefully. Ariana whispered, Why did he write this? Naomi sighed, because years ago he trusted me, thought I would help him hide it. Instead, I hid it from him. Ariana's eyes filled with tears. You saved it, for me. I saved it, Naomi said softly, for the day you would need to save yourself. For the next hour, the three of them planned, carefully, precisely, urgently. Marcus would deliver the USB and confession letter to a trusted journalist. Ariana would confront the board with evidence before the story broke. Naomi would prepare legal protections in case they retaliated. By noon, the plan was set. Ariana exhaled shakily. Marcus, thank you. You've done more for me than my own family ever has. Marcus lifted her chin gently. You gave us hope first. She stepped closer, emotion trembling on her lips. But before either could speak, Caleb's bedroom door creaked. Daddy, he mumbled sleepily. Ariana turned, smiling softly through her fear. Hey, Caleb. The boy rubbed his eyes. Are you okay? You look sad. Ariana knelt and hugged him, voice cracking. I'm better now. Caleb hugged her back tighter than ever, and something inside Marcus shifted permanently. He realized then, this wasn't charity, wasn't obligation, wasn't luck. This was family, not by blood, but by choice, and family.